Alright everybody, Marcus Hain back here. The course is Poker Strategy, how I make $5,000 plus per month playing cash games. This is section 3, which has been all about the basic strategies. This is going to be lesson 4, and I'm going to jump into the betting strategies because a lot of people aren't really familiar with and don't do a good job of knowing how much to bet, when to bet, and where to bet in the right situations. And learning the betting strategies is an easy and effective way, like just some of the other lessons in this section, to really improve your game by 2 or 3 multiples. And it's a very simple and easy fix that can really quickly make you profitable, especially if you're playing tables like 1, 2, and stuff like that, even like the lowest and beginner levels. Just the lessons in this section alone are enough to help you dominate the basic and beginner tables. So to give you guys an overview, it's great to know when you should bet and when you should raise. If you do not know how much money you should be betting and raising when the action is on you, there's a huge leak in your game. And whenever I say there's a leak in your game, that basically means there's a flaw or weakness in your game. So this lesson is going to show you exactly how big your bets should be when you sit down at a no-limit poker table. Why you should properly size your bets. When you bet too little, you let players with drawing hands or middle pairs see a turn card for extremely cheap. When you end up betting too much, you're risking a lot of money when the opponents have a better hand than you. Thus, you need to find the sweet spot for bets, and that's why it's extremely crucial that you know the right amount to bet, because then you're going to maximize your winnings and you're going to minimize your losses while being profitable over the long haul. How to size your bets. So the size of your bets should always be relative to the size of the pot. So this basically means that whenever you bet, you need to consider the size of the pot and bet according to how big or small it is. And the pot is referring to the community chips that are in play based on what everyone else has put into the pot. So your bets should be between 75 to 100% the size of the pot. So by following this rule, you're going to be betting just enough to force opponents on draws to fold, but you're also not risking so much that if someone does indeed have a better hand than you, you end up going bust. Betting before the flop. So the general rule of thumb is that you make your pre-flop raises about 4 times the size of the big blind. So for example, if the big blind is $3 and you have a hand worthy of raising pre-flop, you're going to raise it to $12. Simple enough? So pre-flop betting continued. Now is when it gets a little bit more complex. So let's say you have a limper before you. Add 1 more big blind on top of the 4 big blind raises. So example, the big blind is $2. The standard raise, as I mentioned to you guys, would be $8. However, because one person has called the blind before you, you're going to add $2 more to it to make it $10. Another example, if there's 2 people that end up calling before you, that's 2 plus 2, which is 4. So you're going to add 4 to the standard raise of 8, and you're going to make it a total of 12. So those are the different betting strategies that you want to keep in mind for pre-flop and on the flop. And kind of going back to the flop when I said 75 to 100% of the pot, let's say you get to the flop and the total amount of money in the pot is $12 and you're one-on-one with an opponent, you want to bet anywhere from $10 to $12 if you're going to raise and bet your hand out. So the ideal pre-flop betting situation. So with higher cards or hands such as ace-king or ace-queen, the ideal situation is for you to be heads up, or same thing as one-on-one in the flop. So you basically, anytime you have a good hand and you raise, you don't want to be in a pot with 4 or 5 or 6 other people because your odds of winning obviously decrease. But if you're one-on-one with one other player, it's a great situation for you to be in. So the more players that you have in a pot with a hand such as maybe ace-king or whatever it is, the trickier it's probably going to get. So good pre-flop betting strategies will always increase your chances of playing heads-up poker on the flop. So if you kind of follow the pre-flop betting strategies that I explained to you, most likely, unless you're playing in a super aggressive or hyper aggressive table, you're going to be able to get one-on-one or worst case scenario 2 other opponents that join you on the flop. So that's it for this section on as well as this lesson on betting strategies. I'll catch you guys on the next one.